listening to
Split the Defense.
LEAFS Postgame Edition.
Split the Defense.
Is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004. Serving the Kingston and surrounding areas. Alongside co-host Craig Pearce and producer Ted Evans, here's your host, Jordan Webster.
What up, Split the Defense Hockey Podcast, LEAFS Postgame, as we've been doing. I'm with CP and producer Ted. The LEAFS beat the Rangers 7-3 last time they saw them. That is not how it went this time. This time, New York came back looking for revenge. There was no score in the first, and it was pretty boring, in my opinion. Jones stopped the first 13 shots, and then lets in an unlucky first goal. It hits the Zibanejad twice and dribbles past Jones, and that was just how the night was going to be. After that, Riley jumps on a turnover, feeds Matthews, ties it up, and gives us hope.
Yeah.
It's the hope that kills you, they say. Then Matthews, second of the night, ties it 2-2. Oh boy, it's a game. Well, then Schneider walks everyone off a neutral zone draw, just goes in like Connor McDavid himself and snipes, and the game was pretty much over there.
That was the real killer.
Zibanejad scored on the power play off Liljegren's foot, and then they pull the goalie around 4 minutes. Zibanejad scored an empty netter, make it 5-2. What a bunch of funny bounces tonight, man. You can't blame Martin Jones for half of what went in. Like, this was just uncalled for, hockey gods. What did we do to you is what I'd like to know.
Right. I feel like the only one that like he even had a chance on was the third one, which was like the real killer. But like the player just walked Tavares, and was that the Snyder goal? Just walked Tavares, and like, so like I guess he had a shot at saving it, but at the same time, like, just I don't know. What a night for him. I feel bad for him because I think that I haven't heard one person say that it was his fault. Like, I think everybody understands that that almost all of the goals were just like, some of them were just one bounce, but like you said, the one off Zibanejad hit him twice, maybe off our defender too, and then goes in the back of the net. So yeah, that was
hits
rough.
Riley deflects in for one. Like,
Yeah,
oh man, it was just brutal. Like,
off
every
Lageson's foot.
Yeah, was it Lagesson or Liljegren?
It was Lagesson. They
Okay.
showed Liljegren on the broadcast, but yeah, it was Lagesson.
So yeah, off Lagesson's foot. Like, so 3 of the goals that were scored were deflections off of a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Yeah.
That's a tough night, man. Like, I know they came in for revenge, but like, that was luck. I hate to say it like that, but you got to be good to be lucky, and you got to be lucky to be good, right?
Yeah.
So, speaking of good, Austin Matthews has at least 1 goal in each of his past 5 games and 10 in his past 7 games. I'm talking consistency. We're talking about consistency, boy. Consistency. And you're coming in with the consistency. You're consistently consistent lately. That's what I need, Austin Matthews. That's what I'm talking about. So good. The crazy thing is Matthews has scored in only 13 games this season. He's got 9 multi-goal games.
That's crazy.
But 11 goals in the last 7 games. I'm really not here to complain about that. Especially when you hear that he's got, in each of his past 5 games, he's got at least 1 goal. 11 goals in his last 7. The man is rolling. So he took 33 games to score 25 when he scored 60. How many goals is Austin Matthews going to score this year?
I only want to put just one next level of difficulty on him, so let's say 65.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think he hit 60, 62 again, somewhere in there. I think he'll break the 60. If he keeps this up, like, my tune may change in a month, but we're not into the dog days yet. Let's wait till February before we start deciding what numbers are going to look like. I think it's easy to say that he could score 70. Absolutely could be a guy to score 70 this year if he keeps it up like this. I don't think it's out of the question. You think it's out of the question, Ted?
Not out of the question, of course not, but I don't think it's highly likely right now. I think around 60 is more what we're going to see.
Yes, 70 is a tall task. I mean, if anyone was going to do it, I'd say it is Matthews if he can stay healthy a whole season. Um, but I think that anything beyond 60 is just amazing. Hitting 70 is just, now you're really writing yourself in the history book.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a lot tighter checking tonight from New York Rangers. Obviously, the last time they played, they allowed 7 goals to the Leafs, and the Leafs came out on the victor side of that. Um, Tonight was completely different, and you could really see it from puck drop that nobody wanted to make a mistake. Did you see the same thing?
Oh yeah, this was my kind of game. I love these tight checking games. Like you said, you didn't like the first period, but the first period just
Brutal.
made me know that this was a game for me. Because yeah, it was a good game. I mean, it just sucked that it just all the bounces weren't going our way, but definitely saw a much different team. They at times were kind of playing the Rangers like forget how to forecheck sometimes. I find and they go into their trap way too early, which is very deep. So on a few occasions, like they just let Austin Matthews just walk into the zone, or even on the play where Riley set up Matthews, like just kind of lets him walk through and yeah. So, but for the most part, yeah, much different.
One thing I will say about watching the New York Rangers is like they're a very good team. They're tops in the East, I believe, right now. But their defending is questionable. Like, do you not find that it use? I watched a couple plays tonight where, like on the rush, a few times on the rush, they would allow people to get in, and like there was another time where Jake McCabe had it down low, and I believe there was even a goal scored off of that, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
they all just kind of sat back. Now that you think that's probably a systems thing from Peter Laviolette. He's telling them to drop back into a zone defense.
I mean, the one with McCabe can't be a decision by the coach because literally he just pinched down and he's standing in the corner and no one within like 10 feet of him or something. So, like, that can't be a system. That's just a miss on, like, I don't know if the defenseman out front was supposed to meet, like, go and get him or what switch didn't happen. But, yeah, I think that's a total miss on a player side. I like their defense in a way. Like I like some of their guys they have. Like Keandre Miller is actually like low key one of my favorite defensemen in the league. He just seems to make like he's a good two-way player. He's never going to do anything spectacular offensively, but and then like obviously you have Truba who is their captain and a tough player. Adam Fox is obviously their best defenseman. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It's funny. Like they just haven't seemed to play amazing against the Leafs, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily they're not a great defense.
It just when you watch them play, like, when the last 2 times I've watched them play against the Leafs, I've just watched some, and I'm not talking about defenseman defense. I'm talking about a team defense style. Um, Mental
Yeah.
mistakes are made. Quite a few of them are, and listening to Steve Valiquette today on Real Kipper and Born, he was saying that they are not good at defending the rush, and you can see that. I watched that tonight with my own eyes. They were definitely tighter and better than they were the last game, and caught up and got in the way. But that is 100% where they struggle is against the rush. Through 2 periods tonight, Tavares line 90% expected goals, 82% after 3. That's got to be Leafs' best line, right? Like that's
Oh
like
yeah.
is that? I mean, Matthews is our best player, but
Best
like
player.
that's the
Yeah.
best line. Like that's the
Yeah.
best line.
The scoreboard would say that the Matthews line is the best line, but yeah, he's just our best player and who can put it in on limited amount of chances. The second line is kind of funny because they're not necessarily filling up the net, but definitely creating a
They
lot of
own.
momentum. And yeah, just they just kind of Tavares is the only real finisher on that line. That's where like the Willie
Marner
being
can
on that
finish though.
was Yeah, just not at like a real elite level that you're kind of
Not from
asking.
far away from the net either.
Yeah. So that's where like Nylander kind of does fit that line a bit better, right? Like I think we're seeing that now. They are doing great though. It's just a lot of puck movement and not a lot of puck going into the net. So, but yeah, utter domination. The Tavares line just seems to keep doing it from almost from day one. I'm not sure if they've really had a time where maybe at the very beginning it took them a bit to get going, but they've been pretty consistent from this part forward.
And it's funny how it works because they end up with 82% after three, and the Matthews line after three is 63% expected goals for. And Matthews scored two tonight.
Yeah, and actually the after two periods, I didn't put this in there, but they were 40 something. So that shows you that like Matthews trying to get the win at the end would bump them up to 60. But yeah, he was scoring when not necessarily winning all his minutes. He had to play against the Trocheck line, which is a really good checking line, and Tavares was winning the minutes against the Zibanejad line, so it was a bit of
Can,
a trade off.
can I just say something here that the Matthews you said was Matthews line was at in for the 40% after two for expected goals,
Yep.
and the team for expected goals in the second period was 73%. So they got caved in the second period.
Well, it's basically that 70% is just from Tavares line basically at 90. So yeah, even the Camp line wasn't winning their minutes. The Domi line wasn't either. Um, yeah, if you
But
believe in expected goals that much, like there's a bit more going on than that, right? I'm not. I do spit out those numbers a lot, but I don't necessarily think that they are a tell-all story. Like I did like a lot that I saw from the Matthews line, especially like he was moving tonight for like just coming off having the flu. So,
yeah,
and
you got to
he
take that
puts
into
them in the net.
consideration that all these guys have been sick and fucking puking in the bucket for a week now, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not fun to have to go back on the ice and skate your balls off and like literally puke your guts out probably still after just from exhaustion and dehydration and like these guys. How many guys are going back into the room after and getting tapped into like a bag and IV, like they're getting
Yeah,
fluids
for
pumped
sure.
right into them, like in between periods probably.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably the biggest thing is you burn so many calories in a hockey game. Like how if you've been sick, you just can't get those calories in, right? So that's
Yeah.
tough.
So William Nylander got an assist tonight, and William Nylander this season so far has a 17 game point streak, 3 game drought, and then another 9 game point streak. What a stud! What an
Yep.
Yeah.
absolute stud! He's just gonna keep going and going and going and going. I honestly like. I don't know about these lines anymore, and like I know that we said we got to leave things alone, but like just put it back. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like everybody seems to be buzzing again. Can we put it back or something? Like I don't know. Like William Nylander, he was so good where he was, and he just seems to be quietly doing his thing, but definitely not as explosive to me. I can't say I want to use the word he's not as effective, but I don't think that's true. I think he is being effective, but he's definitely not as much of a threat all the time. I think Willie really needs to be the guy that goes out there and owns the line. Like he is the driver of the bus, right? And I think playing with Matthews, where it may help a lot of people, I think it kind of brings Willie down. It brings his game down a little bit because he's so reliant on his game to be the guy. He's a hell of a playmaker. I'll give him that, and he can fill the role, and he does it well. But I think William Nylander at his best is the guy on the line who is going to be running it. Like I think in a perfect world you have him like it'd be really great if William Nylander they just played him at center the whole time. Cuz him with like Mitch Marner and Max Domi would be sick, right?
Right.
I mean, and like those are just like because they're playmaking guys that can feed him the puck and he can feed the puck, but like he really needs to be the guy that is the number one trigger man on a line.
Yeah, I think this is like there's a little give and take here with the William Nylander situation because he can't do it all by himself. He needs someone to share the puck movement responsibilities, and that's where when Marner wasn't doing so hot, like putting Willie there made sense because like he can do that by himself. And so now that but it always is going to take away from Willie because on being on the second line, like that's his line. Like he's basically free to do whatever he wants. And but when you're playing with Matthews, you always have to be setting up Matthews. Like it's almost a given. He's going to score way more than 50% of the goals between him and his line mates. So, but now that Marner's doing better, like I don't see why you can't put him back up with Matthews because Marner, as we always know, starts slow. He now seems to have found a groove where he's being at least effective more often. So, I think you can now maybe just put him back up, and it's not like it's going to take time to swap him back and forth to get used to it. Like Marner and Matthews, it'll take them at like a period maybe to get used to playing again with each other. So.
Do you remember when, like, there's one point in the season where William Nylander was so confident with the puck that he would take it up into the top of the zone, and he would just kind of like push the guy, like, "Excuse me, pardon me," and like just kind of go around. I haven't really seen that nonchalant dominance from him since he's been playing with Matthews. And I wonder if a lot of that too is like you said, being on the second line, he gets free reign to do whatever he wants, but also he's got the second best checking against him, right? So they're going to put their best line against Austin Matthews a lot of the nights, right? I mean, once you like, obviously you want to say, well,
Always.
Mitch Marner, but it's always going to be Matthews. You're going to put your best line against Matthews every time. So that leaves William Nylander to play against lesser competition, which I think really helps him as well to have that confidence to go out there and thrive. So I just really think that Nylander needs to get back down to the second line. They need to reunite Matthews and Marner and figure out how to make all that work. Maybe even not reunite Matthews and Marner. Maybe figure out something else. I don't care. Just get Willie back and being the guy in his own line because he's the man.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So Morgan Riley, he tonight, if they would have won, would have been the reason with a huge pass block near the end of the game. There was a 2-on-1. They were coming down, and Morgan Riley somehow got in the way of a puck that I thought absolutely was going to be a goal. Morgan Riley's defensive play has been on another level this year. We in this show have been known, and everybody else in the industry always talks about, well, Morgan Riley's not that great at defending. He's not that good in his own zone. He may still have warts here and there, but we all have to admit he has taken massive steps this year and become far, far better in his own zone.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there was a bit of a breakout last year in the playoffs where he was by far the best defenseman, and he was dealing with injury like that whole season too. So potentially he was saving himself a little bit, but yeah, he's committed to being like a more well-rounded defenseman. I think potentially it has to do with him not getting so many points the last few seasons, he's one of the leaders. Even though he has the A, he's kind of like the captain of this team in a certain way, and I think that like he takes the responsibility of the defense on his shoulders. Like this is like if he was Cal McCarr on the Avalanche, like you take pride in your defense just as much as your offense. So I think that yeah, I've loved what I've seen from Riley all season for sure.
So the Leafs have a few opponents coming up that aren't exactly uh, world beaters. They play Sabres next Thursday at 7. Then they play the Blue Jackets. Then they play the Senators. Then they play the Blue Jackets. Then on the 30th of December is where they really play their first real test opponent, the Hurricanes, who have been struggling. They haven't been the Hurricanes that we all know them to be.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of the next 4 games, what would you set the over-under as for wins?
On the next how many games, sorry?
4.
4. I mean, it's got to be the 3.5.
3.5? You think they're
Yeah.
going to win 3 or 4, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that
2.5, you mean?
no,
Like 3 or
3.5.
4,
I think
3.5?
if you pick 2, like a 2.5, I think they should at least win 3. So I think that's why the over under is more because can they win them all? you
So
know, is
nobody's
kind
gonna
of
bet
my.
the that's a, yeah, I wonder if they can win the ML. Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
said that. So you kind of expect all 4 games to be wins, even though the Senators are always a tough game against the Leafs.
No, I think that they'll definitely win 3 of them. So that's what I'm saying. That's why it's hard to decide.
Yeah,
Are they going to win,
yeah,
2 or 3 or 4? So, yeah. But yeah,
yeah. I
3, I
think that
think, is what they
I
pull this out.
yeah, I think that's fair too. So the last thing I have here is Eric Gustafson, 3 points tonight. Do you think it was a mistake that the Leafs didn't find a way to keep him? He really never got a shot here last year, and he's been good. Like he's been the offensive kind of guy that, like they were hoping that they'd get with Klingberg. Like I mean, I get like we were all trying to sell ourselves on, yeah, but he's the guy. But he hasn't. Klingberg hasn't been the offensive guy in years. So like I don't know. Why did we all fool ourselves into that? Why did Eric Gustafson go and sign like what did he play for 825 for New York? Like you're telling me right now that Tree couldn't have fucking found 825 to pay for this guy? Give you 925 to stay. Like shit, dog, come play. You could eat Connor Timmins like, I don't know. I Connor Timmins tonight, he made quite a few glaring mistakes and he's starting to lose my trust. I don't know like how much you can shelter him if when you're going to put him out, he's going to make me fall off the edge of my chair. Like, yeah, he makes plays, but he's constantly making plays and he's stressing me the hell out. I wonder if more a guy like Eric Gustafson, who's a little more weathered, had a little more experience, would have been better for this team.
Yeah, actually, I've written on my page here, Timmins scares me. And so I feel that right there. But Gustafson, I think, I would imagine he didn't even think about re-signing with the Leafs. So like we didn't really treat him right. I don't think we brought him here and we made him sit in the press box for most of the time when he was on a career year. So I think that he might have taken that. I would have taken that personally. So I don't blame him one bit for going somewhere else. And like, do you want to be fighting for the third spot with Connor Timmins, which the Leafs organization was way too in love with? I feel like he just looked other places and thought like there's a more of a secure spot over there, and I didn't have a bad experience there yet. So yeah. But yeah, Connor Timmins though, like that guy scares me. When I saw that Benoit was out of the lineup instead of like one of the two of Lagesson or Timmins, like that upset me because Benoit's been growing on me. But yeah, Timmins to me, I just I've said this like before. Is like he makes some beautiful plays, but he's just so unpredictable. And like tonight when he just tosses it to the closest opponent near him, and now we're on a breakaway. So yeah, like yeah, I want him. I I don't know what I want from him honestly, like because I feel like he was playing really well before he got injured, right? But he might always just be this guy. So I don't know if someone else, like another team, would like to take a chance on a guy who has a lot of offensive upside, but I think that he always will be the guy who scares us.
I think the best thing for Timmins would be to get whipped around by a guy like Mike Babcock, coach style, who really just beats the
Phone
defense
scrolled
into you.
through.
Yeah, like absolutely, just like writes defense in his notes. Like
Yeah,
I don't care. The point is like he really did good things for some of the players here in defensive ways, and like maybe
Riley
Tortorella or
particularly.
something like somebody who really values defense. And if he could just be beaten into him to play defense, play defense, play defense, then that offensive upside becomes more of an upside, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's like a it's like a feature, and we don't have to worry about the bug if he can't play defense. He can play defense, and the feature is, oh, he didn't forget how to move the puck. He's already a good puck mover and good offensive reader, but he's not doing that all the time because he learned how to play defense. So I think like that's probably the what Connor Timmins needs is a different place where he is a coach that's not Sheldon Keefe that is like enforcing this defense down his throat and not letting him just play this offensive style all the time.
The thing is that I find that he does a lot of the correct things without the puck. When he is just in the defensive role, like he does box out a lot in front of the net, and he goes to corners, and he's tough on pucks. It's just when it gets on his stick, and then it's
It's
just
his
like,
first pass thoughts. Yeah, it's
yeah,
always the
it's
first pass thoughts. It's
yeah,
quick first passes, and that's where he really needs to like up off the glass and out isn't horrible all the time. Like one thing I like to see from a few players like Marner and Robertson are very good at it. Back forth up in the air 50 feet. Some guys are bound to put that out and get a penalty and they're worried about that, but like maybe that's something you work on. Like just give yourself some time and space. I don't know what it is, but like it doesn't always have to be the seam pass through the zone that could turn around and come back and bite you in the ass, right?
oh yeah, he only looks for the seam pass. I think that's the only way he believes he can get the puck out. But to be fair, that's probably worked for him all the way up until this point. Just think that his entire career, he's probably been able to find a little bit of space and
Oh,
make a seam
fuck.
pass. So I think that like he's just not adjusting to the NHL, where 90% of the time you just have to make like the easy smart play.
And that's the point. So he's got 78 NHL games. Hasn't even played a full NHL season. So
Yeah.
like maybe in a couple years he'll figure this out, right? He's I mean he's what is he 25? Yeah, he's 25. Maybe when he's 28 he'll have it all start to put together. But we'll
It's a
have to
long
see.
time to wait.
So what else you got for rapid fire notes there, CP, before we get out of here?
Did you see, like the Leafs had zero power play opportunities tonight? Not a one.
They didn't go on the power play, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, not once.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
Really?
Yeah, no, I looked it up. I thought it and I looked it up after, and yeah, no penalty minutes for the other team. Where
Wow.
they only had two.
What? I could have swore. No, eh?
That's crazy.
No, I guess not. Wow,
Yeah,
so the cleanest NHL game ever played was played tonight
ever.
against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Wow, everybody should be up for what's that, Lady Bing Awards?
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
not one
Wow,
infraction tonight. So
that's amazing. Friendliness, wow,
yeah,
is next to godliness. That's great.
yeah.
That's weird.
Another thing, did you see the audition for Morgan Riley's defensive partner? There was a bit of a rotation happening tonight where it was Brody, McCabe, and Liljegren. They all got almost like equal. Oh, I guess Brody got a lot more because of when the audition started.
Is that just because Brody still feels like shit, or
Yeah, I think
like
so. I think he was feeling it tonight. So, and his numbers weren't great. So I think that like Sheldon Keefe's like, give him a break. Like let's rotate this cast here. But I thought that actually Liljegren looked quite good up there for the time that he was, and McCabe did too. So I think that it's nice that you can kind of rotate that guy around, right?
yeah, absolutely. I'd like in a perfect world, I'd like somebody like Benoit to work out perfectly with Riley, and then kick down Brody, and just start pushing everybody down. Um, because honestly, I think if you don't like, just imagine if the defense core was to work. Like, I don't know, like we've seen it work with a cheaper physical guy playing with Morgan Riley, and wouldn't that be great to get one of those for around $1 million, push Brody down, and then all of a sudden you can spend all that cap space on other things? Like, who
Yeah.
knows? Bolster other areas that are already good. Like, I don't know, maybe we'll grab another fucking forward. Why not? Like, who cares? Maybe bolster a goalie. Like, trade Sammy out. Now you got like $6 million for a goalie, and I don't know, and another two for a checking forward. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just. Wouldn't it be nice if we could find somebody cheap and physical to just bump Brody down, because I really don't want to see him playing with Morgan Riley when it comes playoff time.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to design the player that Morgan Riley fits best with because the three that jump off like in my brain are Ron Haydensie, Ilya Labushkin, and Luke Shen. You
Yeah.
know, all guys that just do the safe thing, make one clean pass to their defensive partner, or they're chipping it out. They're not trying to do anything fancy and putting Riley in a poor spot. So I think
Rarely jumping up on the rush. You
yeah,
know,
no, yeah,
throw the
staying home.
body, close gaps. That's a thing that it's been pointed out a lot that the Leafs defense struggles with is gap control. They really need to work on their gap control, allowing guys into the zone. They just sag right off, and let guys come in on the zone. And like you
Yeah.
got to keep that 7 foot gap, right? They're so worried about getting burned. Like just make them do suicides, whatever, bag skate them backwards for like every practice. Just you're skating backwards now, just until the point where you're super comfortable with it. Because like I don't know what it is. That's what I that's got to be it, right? They're worried about getting burned skating backwards, so like they give them extra space. It's the same thing in every sport. You don't want to get burned, so you're trying to give them a little more room. But at the same time, like you can't give them that much room because then you just allow them and the whole squad to walk into your offensive zone. So that's something I noticed.
Yeah. I think that's
Anything
across.
else?
I think across all sports that counts. So that how close you are to the person you're guarding is like a determination on your confidence as a defenseman.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like that's like foot speed. Like I never was a defenseman in hockey, but like I've defended in a lot of other sports, so that's where I can level with it and be like, yeah, I mean like if this guy's way faster than me, I'm gonna give him some room. But like in hockey, like you do have to challenge him a bit, right? You have to
Yeah.
let him think he can burn you. It's got to be that like borderline edge area where like he thinks maybe he can burn you, but you just have enough to get back on him. And that's why I say bag skate them backwards. That way they're really good.
Yeah. I think I
Yeah,
think that's it for me. I don't have anything else here.
right on. Okay, well, this was Split the Defense Hockey Podcast, post game Leafs edition. And the Leafs play Buffalo on Thursday, so we will be back right after the game on Thursday. Thanks everybody for watching us on YouTube and listening on podcast platforms. You can check us out on social media at Split the Defense or at STDP Hockey, whatever. We'll see you again soon. Peace.
Peace.
You've been listening to
Split the defense.
Leafs Post-Game Edition. Hosted by Jordan Webster, Craig Pearce, and producer Ted Evans.
Split the defense.
Is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004. Serving the Kingston and surrounding areas.